Why? Just because it's true don't mean you receive it.
Yeah.
Just because it's true doesn't mean you're open to it. One of the greatest gifts you can give a relationship is openness. I'm not talking sexually. I'm talking about as it relates to your heart.
Amen.
Openness allows you to give and receive without criticism. Number 3, an earnest spirit. Number 1 is an appreciative spirit. That's a soil that the truth can grow in. Number 2, a receptive spirit. That is an openness to the truth of God's word. And number 3, an earnest spirit. When I got saved at 15, I had, and this is like a zeal for the truth, a passion for the truth. When I got saved real young, I had knowledge but no wisdom.
Amen.
Right? I was reading all day, every every book, every commentary, every lexicon. I was just reading. I had zeal, but I had no wisdom. That makes sense? But zeal is important. Now, this may be revelation to you, but it may help you help somebody else. When you got saved, did you ever think to yourself at some point, now that you've been saved longer, like, man, when I got saved, I was like, ugh. Anybody else? Raise your hand. When you got saved, you had like this extra about you. Yeah? Have you ever asked yourself what happened? Right? And most of y'all left walking away saying, I don't know. Maybe I fell in love with God. Who knows? Who knows what conclusion you came to? But this is what we're not taught, though. Zeal is for a reason and for a season.
Right.
There's a God-given zeal that you don't work for upon salvation. The zeal, though, that God gives you when you get saved, you like Superwoman, Superman for a moment. Years sometimes, 6 months, who knows how long it lasts for everybody. But then the high comes down. Are you with me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Most of us don't maximize the window of zeal that God gives us. The zeal that God gave us was a supernatural passion to connect to Him. He gave you the zeal to where reading His word would be like breathing. It just came natural. Praying would become natural. He gave you the zeal to build disciplines. So when the zeal wore off, you did not go to His presence because you felt like it. You went to His presence because you're disciplined and shit with God. But because we didn't know that, we wasted the zeal just talking a lot, but not getting rooted into His word. Are you with me? That's why in earnest spirit now, as it relates to the truth, we can choose. You can choose to be zealous toward God. Meaning I can make a choice to have disciplines according to prayer and study of His word. Number 4 is an obedient spirit. Number 1, an appreciative spirit, which is the love for the truth. Number 2, a receptive spirit, which is openness to the truth. Number 3, an earnest spirit, which is zeal for the truth. And then lastly, an obedient spirit, which is complete surrender to God. This is very important. I was talking to my buddy this morning. We were talking about like family and stuff like that. And I had, in counseling, I always give people this idea. Write it down. It's free. I ain't no extra charge. Those that fail to do the good little things will find themselves doing the bad big things. Those that fail to do the good little things consistently every single day will find themselves doing big bad things and having no clue how they got there.
Yeah.
For example, when it's marriages, I always tell people this. Write down like marriage, write down family, write down like holiness, write down church attendance, write down serving, write down tithing, write down holiness. And I'll write all these things down in the line. And then I'll tell them, if you commit to being faithful to all these little things every single day, you won't do any big bad things. Because the little things build character every single day.
Right.
So if there's 10 or 15 different categories and you're choosing the right thing in each one, because your flesh is saying don't go to church. Your flesh will say don't give. Your flesh will say don't serve. Your flesh will say don't live holy. Your flesh will say don't forgive your wife, forgive your husband. But if you can do yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, in the course of a week, you had about 150 yes, Lords. which builds character of saying yes to God and no to your flesh. So if you do the small things right, you won't do the big things wrong. My whole life I've lived this way. I am very, very consistent. I hate how consistent I am because I can't surprise this one for nothing. About a month ago, maybe, I don't remember what it was. I was buying her some roses. And so she was mentioning roses, and I was like, I ain't buying you nothing. And I'm like, why aren't you asking? Ain't no surprise no more. So I gotta wait a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like that way that like you told me to go get them, right? I gotta give her like 3 days. No? Anyway.
Come on.
So I'm out getting them. I told her, she's like, where you at? Oh, I'm at the gym. I was lying. I felt so bad. But I'm thinking like, I can't tell the truth because then she don't know. Right? I'm at the gym, blah, blah, blah. I'm getting the roses. Then I was going to grab her something from a different store. I couldn't find it, but I went to go look. So then I lied again because she was like, where you at? I was almost heading home. I was opposite way of the house. But I'm like, so I'm just sitting there thinking like, God, but you know what I'm doing though. Like that's where my mind be at though. Like, because I know I'm lying though. I don't like lying. You know what I'm saying? So, but I can't surprise you because if I say I'm going to the store, she knows it. Oh, what you going there for? Now I gotta lie again. So I gotta pick which lie will cause less lies. Right? Because if I say store, what you gonna get? Oh, I'm just gonna I gotta lie again. So if I say I'm going home, that's only one lie. No? You know what I get it? You know what I mean? Yeah, so what I figured out was, I had told her, I was like, well, look, I said, if you ask where I'm going, I'm going to say, don't worry about it. Now I ain't going to lie. But then now, if I say that, she now knows, you're going to, I lose anyway. I got to be a liar or just tell her. I'm just going to be a liar then. But the idea becomes that based upon your motivation drives your behavior. When you're trying to accomplish something righteous, if you're really trying, you'll accomplish it. If I'm really trying to do something for her, I can figure it out. Now, clearly the Lord knows while I'm doing it, so I don't feel like, oh my God, I'm living in sin. It just feels awkward saying the opposite of what I'm doing. But I know what I'm doing. Does that make any sense? But if you're making the effort to do what is right, your heart knows it. That's why the small little things, go to church, your body, you worked late last night, you don't want to get up. As soon as you say, I'm just going to lay back down, you gave your flesh a win.
Amen.
The next time, your flesh feels more emboldened to say, I'll just lay back down. Why? Because you already marked a win in that category. When it comes to serving, I got time for it. Your flesh gets a win. Forgiving your spouse, you don't want to do it. Flesh gets a win. So it's based upon how many wins are you giving God versus your flesh will determine who wins in the next fight. Mind you, it may be a fight in a different category, but the same flesh is fighting that battle too. That's why it can be anything, holiness, church, giving, etc. That's why I talk about giving. I push it so hard, not because I need the money, because I don't get it. The giving is because your flesh will never want you to do it. That's how it works.
Amen.
But every single time I give, which is easy now, I didn't think about it, but before that, years ago, when I would give, I would be like, I don't want to give my money. I was making like $8 an hour, and I was happy about it, and I was like, I'm gonna get $8, and then taxes. After that, I had like a couple $100 in my name, and I was like, I'm balling. But then God wants like 80 of that. I'm like, oh. Y'all ain't real enough. That was me, like years of, I'm talking about, I was at church like, I was the one that, I was giving grudgingly like, because I knew I had to do it. I hated it though. Then one time, I gotta stop. I remember one time, I was at my uncle's house, Uncle Larry, and he's a great guy. And him and my auntie Angel, we would go over there and eat catfish. And like, she's like one of the best cooks ever. And so we would go over there and just eat until we just in gluttony. And I ain't repenting. I just loved it. And so we would go over there and just eat until our stomachs hurt. And I remember sitting there, and my uncle, she would serve my uncle, etc. And then That would be like a Saturday. But then after we're about to leave, I would see them like off to themselves, and they would have like their giving envelopes out. And I used to be looking at them like I was younger. I was like, what the heck are they doing? And they would be by themselves, and we're all playing, we're kids, right? We're all playing, but I would kind of be kind of like watching a little bit, and they'd be over there just praying over their offering.
Yes.
And I'm like, what the heck are they doing that for? Right? But they understood a principle of it's a form of worship. So they never struggled with it. So as a kid, mind you, I was struggling. I was like, maybe I should be more like that.
Amen.
So ever since then, giving never been a problem for me. But I didn't get it though. I viewed it as, God, you're taking something from me versus this is a form of worship. It's a form of my worthship for you. Does that make any sense? And so that, just as an example, that applies to every category though. If I can crucify my flesh in marriage, in children, in job, in how I speak, in my holiness, going to church, etc., I'm winning, getting a win in every category. Those wins add up. Those wins become self-discipline. So now when the next test comes, my flesh is accustomed to hearing no. The flesh gets used to hearing not your day. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
The big no, the big bad thing rather happens because you're telling the flesh yes, flesh yes, flesh yes, small stuff. Then when you add all of them up, the big opportunity comes, and when you should say no, your flesh is so accustomed to getting yes, they all come together and they push you into the big no. Does that make sense? So that's why you can say, how did I ever do that? Because you'll think, in my whole life I wasn't like that. You were, it was just small patterns. Then all those patterns became character. Then your character says, I know I shouldn't. Then your flesh says, but remember, you always tell me yes. So then you say yes to the big bad thing, not because you love the big bad thing, but because you've loved your flesh your whole life. So you feel guilty not giving your flesh what it desires. That's why one of the worst things you can do for a kid raising them is always say yes. And then say no and don't mean it. That's when you raise brats that way.
Amen.
How do you know? They talk back to you.
Come on.
If your kid talks back, it's because they don't honor you. There's no reverence. You guys are kind of like equal. If your kid tells you what you're going to do, you ain't the parent.
Well,
Now, parents don't admit that, right? Oh, they ain't my kid. It ain't my kid doing that. Well, it probably is your kid doing that. It probably is your kid saying what they ain't going to do.
Right.
I gotta stop. Give me 60 seconds. One of my friends, I can't make this up. One of my friends, they kid literally, just, one of our close ministry friends, he's a pastor. They got kids, they're like 18, I think, 18. They're twins, they're 18 years old twins, girls. They have a son, is he 11? Yeah, he's 12 years old. The pastor, my pastor friend, the wife was gone, and then his elder had to go to rush to the hospital. So they called and say, hey man, you get to the hospital immediately, something really bad happened. So he's trying to rush to the hospital. He asked his daughter, now that's where you went wrong, number one. So that's what different kind. I ain't asking you nothing. You're gonna do it, and that's just the bottom line. But let's get past that part. That ain't what happened. He was like, yeah, can you watch him? They were like, no, I ain't watching him. That would have been the defense to me swinging on him. Like, what you mean? What? So wait though. Did not do it. Wouldn't watch him though. What does that tell you?
He wasn't there.
They the parent. There's no respect. There's no reverence. This is the key though. I don't blame the kid.
That's right. That's right.
That's right.
I wouldn't even discipline that kid.
Right.
That is the parent's character.
amen.
And this is the part people don't want to hear, and I'm done here, is this. The reason people allow that type of behavior is because somewhere inside themselves, there is unrighteousness they're ashamed of. So I'm not going to be that hard on them because I know what's really inside of here.
Yeah.
And many times it's forged in sin, forgotten about, but lived out toward your children. So you'll look back and you honestly can't find where it started at because you buried that mug so far. But the reason you let them have all this freedom is because you don't want to have to bring correction and truth, because that same truth applies to you.
That's right.
Our kids are talking back. That's not going to happen. That's what's not gonna happen.
Amen.
We're a blended family, so when it comes to Samaya, I let her shoot first, but I'm close behind. Right? I let her shoot first, which I think is orderly. But if she go too far, I got this. I got that. It don't take much when they know they know.
Amen.
Right.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
They call me the baby whisperer. I ain't lying, am I? Anybody kid,
Amen.
they act right around me. I don't care how bad your kid is. Give me 60 minutes.
Amen.
They act totally different. Because what they find out is no means no, yes means yes. There's no wiggle room. There's follow through and follow up.
Yes, sir.
Amen.
I'm that way in every relationship. Consistent. Kids, it's the key. Kids need you to be consistent.
That's right.
That's right.
If you claim you love your kid and you're not consistent, you don't love your child. You love your own comfort more than your child. Well, if I tell them no, we have to argue back and forth, that's because you're sinful. You're selfish. You're self-centered. And you want to avoid an argument so bad that you won't correct them in love. Then you won't give them boundaries because it might take up more of your time. I should probably stop, huh? But can you see it? The Bible says God loves those in whom he corrects. God will never take a day off of correcting you because he'll never take a day off of loving you.
That's right.
So how often does God correct you? Every time sin is present. Why? Because every time it's present, he must show you his love through correction. So every time your kid acting a fool, talking back, talking half crazy, that you don't discipline them, it is your actions being made manifest that you love yourself more than you love them. I know it's hard to hear because we all think we're great parents. I'm the best dad in the world, the best mom in the world, until they act a fool. Wait, just wait till your daddy get home. What are you waiting for?
That's right.
Amen.
That's right.
What are you waiting for? You're waiting because you don't want to be the one that has to give the rod of love because you're afraid it may change the relationship. Once again, you're selfish.
Teach.
I don't mind my husband having that at him, but it ain't gonna be at me. I'm gonna wait till he get here and let him handle that. Your dad gonna get you, and that's why your kids will respect you though.
Amen.
Because they know you don't have it in you to bring correction. I wish our kids would tell us at 18, we gotta go do something what they not gonna do. You who? Come closer. Come around right here. Now say it one more time. But say it where I can hear you clearly. See, that I'm wired like that though. Because I'm gonna give you an option. You're gonna do what you told at 18, or you're gonna go to that little room, pack up, watch this stuff, wait though, pack only what you purchased. And that front door is waiting for you. So if you don't want the front door and a bag full of what you purchased, this conversation will never be visited again. See, I'm not even having a second conversation about it though. See, that's why I'm different than y'all. Y'all gonna go back and keep threatening. No. I execute.
Yes, sir.
Am I lying? I execute swiftly.
Amen.
Why? Because you know I ain't playing with you.
Amen.
I need you to watch it up. No, I ain't doing it. Hey, say it one more time. And that front door is your best friend. What? I come back, I go upstairs, grab that bag, grab what you purchased, and get out my house. And I promise you, I'll go eat dinner like I never said it. I'll sit back, talk to the wife, yeah, we're going shopping, where we going? No, finish up. What? I'm executing so you get out my house. Then when you get out, I'm changing my life. Why? I'm going to let you be out there until you become like the prodigal son. You let them disrespect you once. That not if, they will do it again. Because you're building character in them. I could never in my life. Okay, well, what you're saying is you don't mind your kid not having character because you want to be comforted. It's completely sinful, but we don't view it that way. Ask yourself, why did the prodigal son's father never leave the house?
Never went after him.
He never chased him. Ever. When he saw the son running back, starving to death, crying out, okay, come on, all right, come on. But that's after, not the emotion. No, cry outside. The tears don't mean you changed yet.
That's right.
That brother's heart, he said, I will come back and be a servant. I don't gotta be a son. His whole life, he realized, you know what, this is not for me. Then he said, okay, you know what, I'm gonna let you come on back in. I'm gonna restore you, but he didn't restore him until he knew his son was willing to serve.
Amen.
That's how you know the discipline builds character. The son didn't say, I'm gonna come back where I was. He says, I'll be a servant if I got to. That's how you know the heart changed. So what should happen? I come back, you know what, forgive me, I am wrong. Anything you need me to do, it is yes and amen. That's how you know they're ready. Then you test it immediately. We're going out, you're watching the kids. That's me listening for a response. That's not yes and amen. Since most of y'all can handle that. But you're gonna be calling me, Pastor, my kid. I'm giving it to you right now. Tough love is the only way of loving somebody. God will never, ever, ever give us a day off from loving us. He will bring correction immediately. And literally, every time God corrects you, you should pause in your life and say thank you. Because it is the greatest expression of his love that he could ever give you. So when your parent brings the hammer, it's not because they hate you. The only reason they're correcting you is because they love you. The kid that is never corrected is the kid that is not genuinely loved. I had kids beg me, and I didn't do it, but literally beg me to spank them. I got bad grades. Can you discipline me? They would bring a report card and say, I got bad grades. Can you put me on punishment? I put kids on 6 months punishment, year punishment, and they would bring me report cards. See, my off punishment yet? They loved correction. That's right. Because they never got it. That's right. They would bring me bad grades, then bring me the good ones, waiting for my response. Right. Am I off punishment yet? Like it was a good thing. I'm like, yeah, you off for 2 months and bring me a report, come back. They happy though. Why? Because correction shows genuine love. Amen? Let's bow our heads. Father, thank you for our time together. I thank you, Lord God, that you will help every single one of us to glorify you the right way. That you be pleased, honored, uplifted by our service in you. I pray, Lord God, that right now, for those of us, maybe we don't know you, maybe we're not living the way in which we should. I pray right now that we open up our hearts to you to repent, to get things right. And lastly, maybe we don't have a church home, a place to belong, to call our own, to be connected, to love, know, and serve you. Let Grace be the place. You can connect here, be part of our family. We welcome you here. Really quickly, I'm not going to embarrass you, I'm not going to call you up. I'm not going to ask you to